null pointer exception. Already you know about null pointer exception. Few points I need to talk about null. Yeah. So test 09. I'm creating a reference variable test t1, or I want to create array variable ia. Any type of reference variable I create, I want to initialize this referenced variable, and further I want to use those variables for accessing instance variables and for accessing instance variables and for accessing what you call array variables. Okay, system.out.println ia of 0. Without doing initialization, without initializing, you cannot access them. Compiler will throw error. We know it very well. Yesterday we practiced. Control 1, compile. Now we are getting compiled error. Variable t1 might not have been initialized. Then what are the value we can initialize to this variable? With either null or with what? Object, right? With null or object we can initialize. At this line number, I don't want to initialize any object, but still I want to use it for accessing. Then what you should assign? Null I must assign. So the default value null. So what is the use of null referenced variable? Okay, now I need to answer what is a null. I don't want to answer what is null. First, I want to answer why null. Why null? Okay, null is used for initializing a referenced variable for accessing non-static members or accessing array locations without object. Okay, null is used for initializing a reference variable for accessing non-static members and for accessing array locations without object. Tell me, permanently or temporarily? Temporarily at a compilation time. Okay, at a compilation time. And now further you can continue to tell to interviewer, without initializing, the basic compiler rule is without initializing a variable, we cannot access it either for displaying or for accessing non-static members or for accessing array locations. Same above point I'm repeating. We need to access non-static members sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times in projects we need to access non-static members and array locations without, okay, array locations with objects. Those are created and initialized. Those are created, comma, passed and initialized at runtime. But at compilation time, we need to access non-static members and array locations without object. Hence, to avoid compile time error, we will initialize referenced variables with default value null to overcome compile time errors. Next, but at runtime, by the time we are accessing non-static members and array locations, referenced variables must be initialized with object, else we will get runtime error, null pointer exception. Long, lengthy explanation. Can you make it short? Show your English talent. Can you make this this much explanation short? Show your English talent. Make it short statement. Most of the times can be removed. This is repetition. Wonderful, yeah. Okay, Kalyan has given the statement. If you don't initialize reference variables with null, when we access non-static members or array locations, if we don't initialize reference variables with null by using it, when we access non-static variable or arrays variables, we'll get compile time error. To avoid compile time error, we are initializing with null. You initialize directly with object. Why null? Okay. This point you need to address. Yeah. Can we take this point? If you don't want to create object, if you don't want to create object, when at compilation time, at development time, and want to access non-static members, don't say what need. I need to access non-static members by using this reference variable. We'll take help of null. We'll take of null to initialize this reference variable and to access non-static members and array locations by using this referenced variable. Yeah, you can take this one also. So y null and y null reference variable. If you don't want to create object at development time and need to access the non-static members without raising compile time errors, we take help of null to initialize this reference variable and to access non-static members and array locations. With null reference variable, we don't get compile time error. We don't get compile time error, but we'll get exception, null pointer exception. To avoid null pointer exception, we must initialize this reference variable. We must initialize this reference variable with the object at runtime before this non-static members and array locations accessing and execution statement. Okay, it become a little short. Okay, you can show your English standard, you can make more short. So this is also correct, but that object creation point is missing. That's why I'm considering this point to take. You can also add this one. The basic rule is without initializing a variable, we cannot access it either for displaying or for accessing non-static members or for accessing array locations. Completed at these points. What is null? Null is a reserved word. It is a literal. It is of any reference type literal. Reference type literal. Null is used for initializing a reference variable for accessing non-static members and accessing array locations without object at compilation time. Without creating object at compilation time ways, you can say development time. Without object at development time. You can add this one here, what is null and why null. I hope you got clarity. Okay, maybe you remember or not, I told you on a null there is a confusion. Okay, there is a confusion. So I prepared a video on null also to avoid this confusion. What is a null? A null is a class. A null is a object. A null is a keyword. A null is a literal. Okay, null is not a class. Null is not an object. Null is not a keyword. Null is a literal. Many people are feeling that null is a keyword. This is a compulsory asking question. Null is a, if you type in the Google, you will get keyword. Null is not a keyword. Null is a literal. If it is a say literal, 10 is a literal of type int. 10.5 is a literal of type double. It is not a keyword, Rababu. It is not a keyword, it is a literal. 10.5 is a double type. Single quote is char type. Null is of what type? Okay. Null is of any referenced type. Okay. I want to tell one small story here, some small history. By the time I came to YouTube for preparing Java videos, already in the market there are so many videos there, and there are so many popular videos also there. Then with what video I should come to YouTube? That is what my question. Then, being a software engineer, as I work in the company, you can ask any software engineer which exception trouble you so much, which exception will every day trouble you, which is your favorite exception. If you ask, everybody say null pointer exception. Okay, then I have decided to search in the Google, to search in the YouTube, is there any proper explanation on a null and null pointer exception? There is no video, 0 videos are there. Okay, then I decided, let me launch my YouTube Prasthanam. Okay, my YouTube Prasthanam with the video null and null pointer exception. Then this is my first video recorded in YouTube and uploaded. In a 16 minutes, almost 6 minutes I took. In a 16 minutes, I have narrated about null pointer exception, and people felt very happy by seeing that video. Any experienced programmer has seen this video, they are getting very excited and giving good comments down. Okay, so after I prepared null pointer exception, now my other competitors, I don't say competitors, they are the followers, my other followers, I missed this video, then immediately they started preparing null pointer exception video. And now already I prepared the list. Is null a class? Is null a object? Is null a keyword? Is null a literal? Okay, this order I prepared and asked in the video. He also prepared the same order. He can move the change the order now, right? So it also follow the same order and given a tick mark to literal. But I don't know what is his intention. He has told that a null is a object type literal. What the meaning of it? Null is a object type literal. Hey, what is object type? Is my question understand? New example is object. New sample is object. Here you are telling null is a literal, but come to the statement you are telling null is a object type. Are you catching my point? So he created a confusion in the process of searching null pointer exception. Maybe you will get his videos, but be careful when he is using the statement object type, then you don't confuse there. and don't be trapped. Be careful. Okay. So what is a literal? I mean, what is a object? I mean, null variable. You have to say it is a referenced type literal. Any referenced type literal. Its a type is either array or class or interface or enum or annotation or what do you call abstract class or concrete class, final class. Any of the 7 types you can take. Everyone understand? Now, what the meaning of it? Any of the reference type? Null is used for initializing any of these type of variables at a development time temporarily for accessing non-static variables and array locations without getting compile time errors. Okay, without getting compile time errors, if you want to access non-static variables and array locations, now you have to use null. But at runtime, you have to replace this null with the object before accessing, before executing the non-static members and array location statements. So this is the point. Okay. Now tell me now again, I'm asking question. In a program, if I use anywhere null, okay, compiler consider this null as any specific type? No. Null is considered as any referenced type. When it is any referenced type, how compiler can use this null as which type? String type. Null is used as a string type. Null is used as a what you call integer type or array type. What type? Compiler get confused and sometimes it will throw errors. Let me show you that. Here we are getting compile time error. Okay, here we are getting compile time error. Variable might not have been initialized. So before running these 2 statements, we must initial. I mean, there is no compile time. Sorry, there is no compile time error. You will get null pointer exception. Here you will get null pointer exception. Okay, and here now I'm calling T1 equal to new test09. I'm creating object test09, and now I'm writing IA equal to new int of 5. Now there is no compile time error. There is no runtime error. We'll get output 10 and 0. 0 why you are getting? Because of 0 0 coming up. Okay, no. Default value of every location in array is what? 0, na? Right. Then now I'm going to write a next statement. Observe. Null is of what type? Any reference type. Now, is it having any specific type? No. Then now listen. I am writing one statement here. System.out.println of null. Is it allowed? I'm writing system.out.println. Is it allowed? Null is of what type? If I write system.out.println 10, here compiler knows, okay, programmer is asking me to execute println of int parameter method. So it is found and compiled and executed. If I write here 10.5, compiler confused. Okay, compiler there is no confusion. So println method you are calling with what type? Double type. It can find println double parameter method and it can execute. But if you write null here, which parameter method should execute? Compiler has an ambiguity error. Why? Reference to println is ambiguous. The println is not a single method, na? It is an overloaded method. Println is a overloaded method. There are so many, I mean, almost 10 methods are there. 10 println methods are there. Among them, 2 parameters are matched, char array and string. Okay, 2 parameters are matched, char array and string. Null assigned to char array or null assigned to string. There is a confusion to compiler, so throwing error. For example, okay, char array parameter method is not there. Then with null, which parameter method executed? String parameter method executed. Let's say string parameter method is not there. With null, which parameter method executed? Char array. Okay, let me take our own overloaded methods. Okay, I am creating our own overloaded methods to show you this point. M1 of, I'm taking the parameter here string yes, and I'm writing system.out.println of system.out.println of next I'm calling M1 by passing null. Tell me, is there any compile time error now? No compile time error, because compiler searching for tell me, compiler searching for M1 of, okay, null type means any referenced type. Null type means what? Any referenced type. Okay, so M1 of any referenced type. And now here, yeah, null is matched with the string yes. Now it is a compiled, executed, and on console what is displayed? On console, what is displayed? Null is displayed. Okay, on console, null is displayed. Sir, why it is not displayed here? Why it is displayed here? Here you are passing null directly, it confused. Now null you are passing to string via string, that's why no confusion. Now let me create confusion to your M1 method also. I am overloading this M1 method with another parameter, what? Int array. Tell me, int array is of what type? Reference type. Then which parameter method should call for M1 method? Now compiler will get confusion. Reference to M1 is ambiguous. Both M1 of string, M1 of int array matched. Everybody understand? Everyone understand? Everyone understand? Come on. Everyone understand? Now I want you answer problems with null. Okay, problems with null. What the problems with null? Number one, we'll get 2 compile time errors. With null, we'll get 2 compile time errors and 1 runtime error. We'll get compile time error, we'll get compile time error, we'll get runtime error. Right? So we'll have 3 problems with the compile time error. Look at here. I am going to write one statement here. Null.x. Tell me, if I write null.x, is it error or not? If I write null.x, is it error or not? X, access X variable from null class. Which class? Any reference type. What is that reference type? Cannot, there is no particular. So compiler will throw error. Look at that. Null cannot be dereferenced. You cannot use null for referencing. Okay, null cannot be dereferenced. And reference to M1 is ambiguous. So first compile time error is what? First compile time error, null cannot be dereferenced. And next, second compile time error is what? Reference to, okay, ambiguous error. Okay, ambiguous error in overloaded method calls. And third problem is what? Null pointer exception. So null creates totally 3 problems. And tell me, how can we solve compile time errors? How can we solve compile time errors? Tell me, how can I solve compile time errors? Okay, we can solve compile time errors by specifying type to it. By specifying type to it. So null, it doesn't have any type. When you write null.x, from which class I should access X, it is asking. When I pass null, which parameter method I should access, it is asking. So I must specify type to it. How can I specify type to it? Bolo, you know already. How can I specify type to it? Come on, sir. How can we specify type to a value? Tell me, I am giving you a value called 10. Specify int to it. By default, it is int. Specify char to it. What do you write? Char ch equal to, now tell me, 10 will convert it to char. Or by using char parameter, char cast off, right? By using char cast. Then how can we solve compile time error? We must specify a particular type to it. We must specify specific type to it. Now the next question, how can we specify type to it? Bolo, how can you specify type to null? There are 2 ways are there. First way, by using variable assignment. Number 2, by using cast operator. Okay, na babai? Then tell me, how can we solve here compile time errors? I'm writing system.out.println. And now, if you want to access X variable, you must specify type to null. What the type to null? What X variable available in which class? Test class. Test 0.x. Tell me, now X type is null, is a test now. Is there any compile time error? No. Okay, they're now compiled because compiler is searching for X variable in test 9. But executed or not executed? Not executed. Null dot. You will get null pointer exception. Here, no compile time error. As we said above, no compile time error, but we'll get runtime error, null pointer exception. Okay, next. Now I'm writing here, listen, very important. System dot out dot println of. Now I wanted to pass null to println any reference type. Then it is matching to two parameters. What are the two parameters? Println of char array and println of char array and println of string are matched. Okay, are matched. So how to solve this problem? You specify type to null. You specify null as a string type. Any compile time error? No. Which parameter method now executing? String parameter method executed, and we are getting what value? Null. Very important point, Buji. Please try to accept. Very, very important point. Please try to accept. If you pass null as a char array type to println method, if you pass null as a char array type to println method or to any predefined method or constructor given in JDK software, you will not get any compile time error, but you will get null pointer exception. Java.lang. Null pointer exception cannot read array length because cbuff is null. Okay, this null variable value going into println method. In println method, now it is trying to read the length of the array. To read the length of the array, there is no array. It is a null. Na? If you try to access value by using null, we will get null pointer exception, right? Already we mentioned that point. At runtime, by the time the values are executing, you must initialize. With null reference variable, we don't get compile time error, but we will get exception, null pointer exception. To avoid null pointer exception, we must initialize reference variable with object at runtime. So you have not assigned any object, you are passing null, so you got null pointer exception. Sir, here also I am passing null, sir, why we are not getting exception here? Why we got exception here? I will tell you in a minute. I will tell you in a minute as part of null pointer exception section. At this minute, please try to remember. Now, if you pass a null as a argument to println method directly, then compile time error, ambiguous error. If you pass as any of other type, any type other than char array, directly what is the output will be displayed? Null will be displayed. But if you pass a null as argument to println method as a char array type, we will get null pointer exception. Why null pointer exception coming? I will tell you, but at this minute you please remember. Can you please call this println method by passing null as our own class type? Yes, allowed. Test 09 of null, no problem. Compile successfully, executed. What you are getting? Null you are getting. Other than char array type, you can pass as any type. I am passing int array type. Any problem? No problem. Compile successfully, executed. We got null. Accepted? So can you please try to answer all questions? Question number 1. What is null? A null is a reserved word. Reserved word, it is not a keyword, it is a reserved word. A null is a reserved word, it is a literal. In simple words also we can say a null is a reserved literal. A null is a reserved literal. It is of any referenced data type. Second point. Why? What the use of null? Null is used for initializing a referenced variable of any type, either array or class or interface or enum or annotation. And further to use this referenced variable to access non-static variable or array locations without getting compile time errors. Okay. Then next point. Third point. What are the problems with the null? Okay, will you have any problems with the null? Yes. If you directly use null in the program, if you use null directly in the program, either for displaying or for accessing variables or for passing as argument or any operation, you will get either compile time error or runtime error. We will get 2 compile time errors and 2 runtime errors. How can we solve a null problem? To solve null compile time errors, you have to specify type to it. How can we specify type to it? Now we can specify type in 2 ways, either by using variable assignment or by using cast operator. Very important point. If you pass null to println method as argument to display, You as a char array type, you will get null pointer exception. If you pass null and null other than char array type to any other type, then we'll get null as a output on the console. Is are all these points understood? Null related all points are clear? Shall I go to next point? What is null pointer exception? And how can we solve? Null pointer exception. What is null pointer exception? And how can we solve null pointer exception? And tell me, what is null pointer exception? Null pointer exception is a runtime error, simple word. Nothing more. Null pointer exception is a runtime error. That means it occurred during program execution. It occurred during program execution. You please tell me yourself, when will you get this exception? When we access non-static variable or non-static method, non-static variable or non-static method or array location, array locations with null referenced variable, we will get null pointer exception. Okay, what is null pointer exception? When will we get this exception? Null pointer exception is a runtime error. It occurred during program execution. When we access non-static variable or non-static method or array locations with null referenced variable, we will get null pointer exception. How can we solve null pointer exception? Tell me, why you are getting null pointer exception? Because variable is null. Okay, we can solve null pointer exception in two ways. Number one, by assigning object to reference variable. By assigning object to reference variable. Second, by using, tell me, if null, don't execute the statement, null pointer exception will not come. Correct? If the reference variable value is null, don't execute the statement, null pointer exception will not come by using not equal to null if condition. Okay, now how can we solve null pointer exception? Two ways: by assigning object to reference variable. Number two, by using not equal to null if condition. Now look at here. I'm going to write something like this. Here I'm writing string s1 equal to null. Okay, now I am writing here system dot out dot println of s1 dot to uppercase. S1 dot to uppercase. Tell me now, what is the output we will get here? Option number one, small null only as it is will come. Option number two, capital null will come. Option number three, compile time error. Option number four, runtime error. Tell me, which is the right option here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What is your answer, Baba? Fourth option is the right answer. Many students are giving answer capital NULL. Great people, no? Many people has given answer capital NULL. Okay. Many people are given answer capital NULL. Array, is this NULL? Is it a string to convert to uppercase? You have already observed whenever you are performing any operation by using null, you will get null pointer exception. Come on, buddy. Okay. So compile, executed. You are getting null pointer exception line number 80. Line number 80, we are getting null pointer exception. So it is not a string to convert to uppercase. These are not characters to convert to uppercase. It is a literal. Then what happened? In S1 variable, directly null is stored. A separate object is not created. Directly null is stored. And when you write S1 dot to uppercase, it is going to null. It is not pointing to any object to convert characters to uppercase. Hence you will get what? Null pointer exception. Is the point understand? This is the compulsory asking written test question in your exam. Okay. Now tell me next point. So it is a null pointer exception. I am commenting this statement. Okay, fine. Then next tell me. I am writing next statement something like this. I will move the statement. Now I am writing one more statement. String S2 equal to double quotes null. Now if I write it here, S2 dot to uppercase, will you get null pointer exception now? No. Now there is no null pointer exception. Now you will get output capital NULL. So you have to carefully observe, okay? Next tell me. I am rewriting the statement once again. You tell me, I don't want to get any exception here, even though the referenced variable is null. Below. Even though the reference variable is null, I don't want to get here null pointer exception. What to do? Two options you have. Before running the statement, S3, I'm taking S3. Before running the statement, you assign S3 equal to one object ABC, whatever. Then null pointer exception will not come. Option number 1. Okay, next another option, string S4 equal to, now null I am writing. Okay, if it is null, don't execute the statement. If not null, then execute. What do you write? If S4 not equal to null, if S4 not equal to null, then execute it. Otherwise, don't execute. Control 1, compile. Control 2. Look at there, ABC only come. Then when this if condition executed, okay, for your understanding, I'm writing else I'm writing system dot out dot println of, and I'm writing double quotes, S4 is null. S4 is null. Okay, now I'm running compile and executed. Look at there, S4 is null I got. Then tell me, if you want S4 condition to execute, okay, in place of the statement, here I should write S4 equal to double quotes BBC. Okay, now which condition executed? If condition executed, BBC output come. So if interview ask a question, how can we solve null? How can we solve null pointer exception? What do you answer? We'll solve null pointer exception in two ways, either by assigning object reference or by using not equal to null condition. Sometimes we'll follow this approach, sometimes we'll follow this approach. Whichever feasible to your program, that you have to implement. Everyone understand that? Sometimes you must guarantee assigning object. Sometimes you have to use a not equal to null condition. Now, tell me, I'm giving you M1 of string S. And here I'm writing S1 dot to uppercase. Okay, S1 dot to S dot to uppercase. Is there any chance we'll get null pointer exception here? Always remember, sir, wherever dot there, wherever dot you used, wherever square bracket you have used, dot and square bracket wherever used, there is a chance we'll get null pointer exception. Okay, now in a program, whenever you see dot and square bracket, there is a chance we'll get null pointer exception. Now I have used dot. Is there any null pointer exception? Yes. Why? Because this S variable make M1 method may call by passing what? Null. And now I am calling this method M1 method by passing null. Let me make this method as M2. Okay, separate name I am taking. And now M1 of null. Then tell me, there is a chance we'll get null pointer exception here? Yes. Then how can you solve null pointer exception? Tell me. As a method developer, you have to think to solve null pointer exception. What to do? As a method developer, you must execute the statement only if it is S value not equal to null. I have to write if condition. If, what do you write? Yes, not equal to null. Not equal to null, then execute the statement. If it is a null, don't execute the statement. Okay, now you write a message SOPLN system.out.println double quotes. You write a message, don't pass null. Control 1, compile, control 2. What message coming? Don't pass null. By seeing that message, who will solve this null pointer exception? Null pointer exception is solved and logic executed by method caller. Then method caller is passing object double quotes CBC. Now we'll get on console second time double quotes CBC capital letters. Is everyone understood? Right? As a method caller, you can solve null pointer exception by passing object as an argument. As a method developer, you can solve null pointer exception by taking not equal to null if condition. So I have given project scenarios also. Project scenario method developer, project scenario method caller. Now all the people answer now. If I write here system.out.println, system.out.println, double quotes, okay. Okay, if I write string of null, I am passing string of null. Null I am passing as an argument to println. Now I am not getting any null pointer exception. Here I am getting null as a value. That means inside string parameter println method, there is a null handling now. Bolo bolo. You are not getting any exception and you are getting null as output means there is a null handling inside print of string parameter method, right? Guess what is the logic way would you have written? Public void print ln of string yes. String yes, open bracket, closure bracket. Tell me, this println method developer, how can handle the exception, null pointer exception as a developer? By taking object or by taking not equal to null? If, what is there? If yes, equal to null. What they have written? Sometimes null handling by using equal to null also. If equal to null, they are writing yes equal to double quotes null. So tell me, after converting S value from null literal to null string, means null characters string, in the next lines of the code, if I use null, will you get null pointer exception? No. So how null pointer exception handle in the string parameter method? There is a null handling with if condition is there. If a passed argument value is null, they are reassigning the parameter with a double quotes null. Problem is solved. Whereas if you take println of char array parameter method, can you guess what they did? Public void println of what you call char array object, char array ch below. Here null handling there or not there? Not there. Directly they are calling ch dot length. Directly they are calling ch dot length. Int length equal to ch dot length, directly they are calling, because there is no null handling if condition. So we got null pointer exception. So don't ask me, sir, why they didn't handle here null, sir? They want length. If they handle null, what can they do? Sometimes we can handle null. Here I can write alternative code. Here what code I can write alternative? I want to find the length of the array. Okay, if you write here, if yes, ch equal to null, if ch equal to null, can you write ch equal to double quotes null? No, na. Are you catching my point? You cannot write here. So that's why we cannot handle null. Some places we cannot handle null. Then null pointer exception coming to the developer, then developer has to solve null pointer exception by passing object. Does everyone understand? System dot out dot println of char array of null. If you pass, you will get null pointer exception because there is no null handling in println of char. Then exception is coming to programmer. Then programmer silently comment it and pass the char array object only argument. That's it. So I hope you all understood about null pointer exception, how to solve null pointer exception. Look at here. What is the use of null? I told you one purpose of null. Now I need to add one more point from the garbage collection point of. Null is used for initializing a referenced variable for accessing non-static members and accessing array locations without creating object at development time and without raising compile time errors. Without raising compile time errors. Two purposes. This is the one purpose. Second purpose, for unreferencing object from a referenced variable. Okay, null is used for initializing a reference variable. Let me take it as this is the first purpose. I don't want to take this. For accessing non-static variable and non-static method, non-static members, let's say, non-static variable, non-static method and array locations without creating object at a development time and without raising compile time errors. And the second purpose is what? For unreferencing object from a reference variable for making an object eligible for garbage collection. These are the two purposes you need to know. Can I hope it's clear to all? Why I have explained this point at last? Because this topic is currently out of discussion. But I want to make it here to by heart. In garbage collection chapter, I will ask. Okay. Now, whatever the point I am giving, if you are ready to fire question on me, it's not good habit. Okay. You can take screenshot of these slides. What is null? A null is a literal. What is its type? Null is of any reference data type. It means we can store in any of the 7 reference variables. Can we pass null as an argument to a method directly? M1 of null, execute M1 of any reference data type parameter method. M1 of 5, execute M1 of in param method. M1 of 5.7, execute M1 of double parameter method. Void M1 of runnable. So we can call M1 method by passing null, but 5.7 you cannot. If we next this question continuation down, taking second screenshot. If we invoke, if the invoked method is overloaded method with a different referenced data types, then which parameter method is executed? M1 of null, M1 of string, M1 of char array, compiler throw error. How can you specify type to null to solve null, this problem? Okay. How can we solve above compile time error? We must specify type to null. Okay, how can we specify type to null? We have two ways: variable assignment with the cast operator. Here variable assignment M1 of S type is a string parameter. M1 of CS type is char parameter, or M1 of string of null char of null. Here we don't get null pointer exception because we are not using SOPL. Next, if you overload, how can we solve the above compile time? Okay, if the overloaded methods parameters are parent and child class types, will we get compile time error? No. Child type parameter method is executed. For example, I take an M1 of object, M1 of string. I'm passing null. String parameter method is executed. If a parent parameter types are sibling types, then we will get compile time error, ambiguous error. I pass null. String to char array, there is no relation. So they are siblings type. So we got compile time error. Are you taking screenshots? Please take screenshot, bhaiya. Oh, bhaiya. Taken a? Next. What are the different problems we face with null? 3 problems. Null cannot be dereferenced, ambiguous error, null pointer exception. E1.x. X variable accessed from E1 class. Null.x from where? Compiler throwing error. Can we display null directly? No. Compiler throw error. With a string, null will be displayed. With a char array, null pointer exception we will get. Moving to the next point. What is null pointer exception? When will we get null pointer exception? How can we solve this null pointer exception? How can we stop this execution coming, or how can we handle this exception? We must check the reference variable is null, reference or not by using not equal to null condition. Here M1 method string, no null condition. So we got null pointer exception. Here M2 method I have null condition, so we don't get null pointer exception. So this is the story about null pointer exception. So that's the video. You can, for revision purpose, you can use it. That's the first video I prepared. You can see my face expressions. Wow, really tortured. You know, my way of explanation is reply explanation. If you reply, I can go forward. That's why in the class, sometimes I'll get frustration. I used to scold you, reply, okay? Because without your reply, I cannot continue the next point. I'm in confusion, you understand or not? So I stand in front of the camera, I'm asking, let's discuss what is null pointer exception. Camera is not replying to me. Then my words are stopping, my statements are stopping. Okay, now moving to the next point with the toString method. Next point, working with the toString method. Working with the toString method. Okay. Sir, many points. This is a programming language. Just by listening you cannot remember. Okay, you have to write notes, you have to practice every program in the system. It is a core Java. Core Java means everything you have to practice. Okay, what is toString method? What is toString method? It is a predefined method given in predefined method available in java.lang.object class. Okay, it is a predefined method java.lang.object class. Java.lang.object class is a super class or parent class of every class. Hence, the methods available in this class, hence we can access all methods available in this class by using our class object. Yes or no? Now I am writing system.out.println. For accessing the class methods, I need one object, test 10 t1 equal to new to test. T1 dot I am calling. Okay, I am calling T1 dot toString method. T1 dot toString method. Control 1 compile. Look at that, there is no compile error. Did I define toString method in this class anywhere? No. But still it is compiled because it is available in object class. Tell me, if I call M1 method, is it compiled? No. Compiler throw error because M1 method is not available in test class. Okay. Then tell me, what is displayed on the console? Nothing is displayed. Okay. What is displayed in the console? Nothing is displayed. Why? Why it is not displayed? Why it is not displayed? ToString method executed or not executed? Executed. ToString method is executed from which class? Object class. But it is a non-void method. Okay. ToString method is a public, non-static, non-void string return type, no param method. A big statement. What is non-type? String type. String return type. String return type. So again, repeating the statement, toString method is a public, non-static, non-void, non-param method. Okay, let me write here. Full stop. Its return type is string. Then what the use of this method? Observe. This method is used for returning current object information in string format. Or in another way we can say, this method is used for converting any class object to string object. Okay, this method is used for converting any class object to string object. Now look at here. When I write t1.toString method, toString method implicitly executed, convert this test class object as a string, return to our program. Because you have not stored anywhere, not printing, and now that information not displayed. Now I am writing something like this. system.out.println t1.toString I called. Then toString method is executed, return some information by converting this t1 object given to println method displaying that information on console. What is coming? Test 10. This t1 object is which class object? Test 10 class. Created at what reference? This is the reference. So what will return by toString method? ToString method returns test10 at the rate hash code. So repeating once again, this method is used for returning current object information in string format. More specifically, we can say this method is used for returning current object information in string format. What is the current object? T1 pointing object is which class object? Test10 class, which is created at what reference? This is a reference. Can I create one more object? Yes, T2 equal to. Then I am writing T1 dot T2 dot. Then T2 object also which class object? Test class object. Okay, and then but the reference is same or different? Different. So now there will be a difference here. Control 1, compile, control 2. Look at that. This is the reference we are getting for second object. Second object, second reference. Sir, what the purpose of this toString method? Array, I wanted to know the object came into my class is what object. I want to display some information about that object. Okay, I want to display some information about that object. Then I need some method, some mechanism, some logic. That is where toString method came into picture. Everybody understand? Now I am asking one question. All you people tell me. System.out.println in variables chapter I told. System.out.println. When I write T1, when I write T2, when you display object, what is displayed? When I display object, what is displayed? When I display object, what is displayed? Class name at the rate hash code. Same information you will get. Control 1, control 2. Look at that. Same information we are getting. So now all you people tell me. When you pass object as an argument to println method should print information about this object on the console. How it can print? Implicitly, println method calling what method? ToString. Instead of you calling ToString method explicitly, inside println method ToString method is called. Everyone understand up to now? Now answer my question. Next question I'm asking. Sir, class name at the rate hash code, class name at the rate hash code, I don't want to display. I want to display my object information, my object values I want to display. If you want to display your object value, you must write your own logic. Now your father earning 5,000 rupees for you and giving every month 5,000 rupees. Unfortunately, you fall in love. Now you need to take care of your lover also. Now your father will give you more 5,000 rupees for lover also. He will beat you like anything. Arey tumri fellow, I am giving 5,000 to you, that is already waste. Then I need to give money to your lover also. Dad, please dad. Okay. Please dad. Already fall in love. Okay. Now their parents thrown her or him to out. Now we need to together live. So I cannot work, I cannot earn money. Then if you cannot work, cannot earn money, but you want lover, you cannot take care of your lover, but still you want lover. That's all. Lazy fellows, irresponsible idiots. After you get job, when you are earning your own money, do whatever you like, no problem. When you are dependent on somebody, how dare you to fall in love? Murder. Now, Java.lang.object class is your parent. Now your parent has given some logic to you that is returning current object information. What information coming from object class? From java.lang.object class, or you can say in java.lang.object class, toString method is defined to return object information as the current objects class name at the rate hash code in hexa string format. Okay, in java.lang.object class, toString method is defined to return object information as the current object's class name at the rate hash code in hexa string format. So now whatever you are seeing, this is a hexa string format. Okay, now what is hash code? Hash code is nothing but reference. At the time being, for the time being, you can consider as reference of the object. Now tell me, what we must do if we want to return? What we must do? What must we do? Anything is okay. What must we do if you want to return? If you want to return object data as its information, Tell me what it should do if you want to return object data as its information. Super class given functionality not satisfying our requirement. What to do? We must override toString method. We must override toString method in our class and must return our class instance variables from this method as string object. Okay, and tell me now, when you display t1.toString or t1, I want you display data of the object. You must override already defined method in super class. I am overriding, so I'm using annotation at the rate override. Public return type is string, method name is toString. Open bracket, closed bracket. Now I am writing return x. Is it compiled or not compiled? What is the instance variable of this class? See, object data is holding in the instance variable of the class. What the instance variable of this class? X. I am returning x. Tell me, when I write return x, what happened? Compiler throw error because int and string are not compatible. Incompatible types, int cannot be converted to string. Then tell me what the solution to this problem. You must convert that instance variables from this method as string object. How can I convert? Simply append with empty string. When I write empty string plus x, x value is converted to this empty string. Total string will be what? 10 will be going out. So in all four places, what is the value displayed on the console? 10, 10, 10, 10. Because in T1 object, T2 object, x value is 10. For example, I am modifying T1.x is 15. Then tell me, when I modify T1.object, T2 object data modified? No. Then output will be 15, 10, 15, 10. Everyone understand? Tell me, inside toString method, if I write hi, what happened? Inside this toString method, if I write hi, what happened? If I write hi, what happened? JVM, compiler and JVM don't know what you are returning. They simply go to toString method, whatever returning from there, it is returning and displaying. That's it. Control 1, control 2. What is displayed in the console? Hi. So final conclusion, you tell me. Now final conclusion question from this topic. What is displayed when we display, what is a print, what is displayed when we print a class or array object by using println method. Below, what is displayed? What is displayed? Can you please tell me? Up to now, all the people are in a feeling that class name at the rate hash code is displayed. All the people are in a feeling that class name at the rate hash code is displayed. No, you need to give correct answer now. ToString method return value is displayed. Correct? ToString method return value is displayed. Okay, by default, ToString method from object class will return and display returns and display what? Class name at the rate hash code in hexa string format. If you want to display object data, we must override ToString method in our class. I hope it's clear to all. Now, I want to ask one question. Think. String S1 equal to double quotes HK data type chapter S1 Hari system dot out dot println of S1. Well, what is displayed on the console? For all these two objects will get class name at the rate hash code, but for string object we are getting what? Hari. Why? Anyone can you please answer now? Why you got Hari now? Why you got Hari now? Because ToString method is overridden in the string class. Here also implicitly what is called ToString method. It is overridden in string class. Overridden string class to return object data. To return object data. Hence the output is Hari. And now, if I override ToString method here, one more time I want to override at the rate override public string ToString open bracket closed bracket return double quotes plus X. Control 1, look at that. Sorry, I have to compile it. Compile, execute. Now look at that. For our object also what is coming? Data is coming. Now last question. When we display string object by data of this object is displayed. Answer, because in string class ToString method is overridden. Adi matter. This is not something, this is a full thing. This is the complete information about ToString method. This first page only Babu. All these points are there in the material, Mr. Nagaraju Kailasa. Are you a new student to this batch? Are you a new student? Amar, all points are there in the material. Every day I'm showing in material. Na? Why you are asking to share again? Line number 33, what is there? At the rate override you are asking her. Satish, you are asking at the rate override. Huh? I didn't understand your question.